Hey guys, welcome and thank you for joining me here again on my YouTube channel, Mitch Vapes. I'm Mitch and today we're going to be doing something a bit different. We're going to be doing a tutorial on coil building. So I've had a few requests now on asking how I build my coils and if I could do maybe a short video. So this is my attempt at a coil making video. I'm not sure how it's going to look. It's going to be a bit tricky trying to sort of wrap coils etc. through the camera lens, but we'll give it a go. Okay, then start off with what do we need to build some coils. So what I've got is a screwdriver, some ceramic tip tweezers. The beauty of ceramic tip and why they're better than metal tip screwdrivers is that you can squeeze the coils whilst you're pulsing them. We'll get to that later on. You need some wire cutters. Again, these ones are really good because you can get in real close. You can see mine are a bit zoom. Get to focus. You see mine are a bit jagged and tired now, but yeah, that's them. And you're going to need some pliers, preferably some needle nose pliers, and also something to wrap your coils around. Now, I tend to use one of these, which is a coiling jig, available from most vape shops, and you can see there on the end, you can see it's got your different gauges. So you've got 3.5mm, 3mm, 2.5mm, 2mm, and a 1.5mm. And they correspond, you see how they step down here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see that tells you the different sizes of the diameter of the coil we're going to wrap. Also, we're going to need some cotton. I use cotton bacon by Wicking Vape. It's really good stuff. You just tear it, rip it, roll it, get it in there, job done. And wire, today I'm going to be using 22 gauge, and this is Renegade Kanthal from greyhaze.co.uk. So I'll put some links in the description below where you can get all of these things. Also then, for building on, what I'm going to be using today is something called the Coil Master 521 tab, and this is what it is. So it is basically, if you've not built coils before, what you do is you put your RDA on there, take the top off. You see I've already got a build-in which I'm going to strip out in a second. If you flick the switch up, it gives you the resistance, so you can see this is 0.18 ohms. And if you flick the switch down, you can actually pulse it and fire your coils all on the same device. So this is really, really handy to save building and then putting it on the ohm reader, then put it on the device to pulse it and then put it back on the ohm reader, etc, etc. You can build it all if you have something like this Sigeli, built-in kind of thing. They would give it the resistance on there, but they're not always necessarily incredibly accurate. So if you're building for mech mods, etc., you might want something a little bit more accurate. So this is good for the job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip this build out, and then we'll come back. Okay then. So as you can see, I've stripped the build out of this. To the deck. For this tutorial I'm going to be using the Mutation X V4 Mini, and yeah, so one question that I do get asked the most is how do you know how many wraps to do, what size to wrap around, etc, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut to my computer screen. I'm going to show you a really good website with a really great coil calculator on there, how to use it, and yeah, we'll head up there now. Okay, so I'm going to try and do this as best as I can. Trying to film a computer screen is not necessarily the easiest thing. So we know then that we're using, what we're going to do is we're going to fill in these various options and it's going to tell us exactly what we need over on this side. So we know we're using, if I zoom in, we're using Kanthal A1, round, yeah, we're not using flat wire. Now, diameter of wire, we're using 22 gauge, so I'll just go ahead and put 22 gauge in there. We want, for this build I'm going to be doing a dual coil build. So we set that to dual coil, and target resistance I'm going to go for a 0.2 ohm build. So let me just move that around. 0.2 ohm build. So there we go. That's those options filled in over on this side. Now up here, if I just zoom in, there we go. You can see we've got inner diameter of coil. I usually wrap around the 2.5mm. So we're just going to type in 2.5mm. Leg length, I tend to leave that as standard. So just to review then, we've got the Kanthal A1 round, 22 gauge dual coil, target resistance 0.2 or whatever you wish to build yours to. The inner diameter of coil I've put 2.5mm, And then what I can do is, if I can just straighten the camera up, zoom in here, you will see the screen that it brings you up. It brings you exactly what you need to do your build. So we know that the number of full wraps, we've got 7 full wraps. That's all really we need to know. The rest of it is just giving you various information like the heat flux, which is 28 milliwatts per mil squared. So that tells us that it's a warm vape, not a hot vape. Resistance per coil, etc. But the most important thing is this bit here. Full wraps 7. So we want 7 full wraps per coil around a 2.5 mil bit with 22 gauge. So let's head back over to the build. Okay then, so heading back then, we now know exactly how many wraps we need to do around what mil, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off 2 lengths of Kanthal. If I just show you on these spools of Kanthal, what I tend to do is take off 1 full wrap per coil, if that makes any sense. So I'll go and cut that out and then I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so what I've done then is I've taken 2 wraps off the spool and cut that total length in half. So I've ended up with 2 wires here. It's a dual coil build, so we need 2 lots of Kanthal. So there we go then, that's about how long each one is, and that's going to be plenty long enough for our 7 wraps. So, getting the coiling jig, put that one to one side. So, the coiling jig then, we know that we need a 2.5 mil 2.5 mil inner diameter. So we know that's the 1, 2, third one up. So corresponding here, that's the first one, second one, third one. So it's this one here is the 2.5 mil, and that is what we're going to be wrapping around for our coils. So what I do then, moving those bits out of the way, what I do is I start with a bit of a leg there, and all I do is I simply wrap it around 7 times. But a little trick that I've learned is I add an extra wrap and then I take that out later. You'll see why in a moment. So I put in the first wrap and I don't count that one. So this first one here, I'll show you this first one, I don't count. I only count this one here as the first one. So if I want 7 wraps, I'm actually technically going to put in 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. So you want to wrap them as tight as you possibly can. I know there's a few gaps at the moment in between some of the wraps around here. There's a few gaps. We can sort that out when we get it onto the actual device. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to now, as I mentioned, putting in that extra wrap. So if you count, there's actually 8 wraps in there and we want 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pair of pliers and pull out that first wrap. And what I do is I grab the leg on the left and just pull the coil round, and it'll just pull out that first wrap there. So now I've got 7, but the first wrap's really hard to get tight. So what I do is I put an extra one, and if you pull that one out, then that loose wrap at the beginning sort of disappears. So both legs are facing the same way, and what I do to make life a little bit easier when inserting them into the RDA, I tend to bend up this first leg, like so it's at a right angle, and then I just take my pliers here, and I put a little kink in the leg, so that it looks like that. Don't know how well you can see that on camera, so I've put that kink in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera and wrap the other one, and then we'll be right back. Okay, then what I've done is I've gone off camera and wrapped the other coil, so I've got 2 pretty much identical coils. You see the last one that I wrapped is much tighter, as I was doing it off camera, so it's much easier. But like I say, don't worry about getting it too perfect to start with. We can certainly fiddle with that when we get it onto the RDA. As you'll see as well, I've cut one of the legs shorter than the other. This just makes it slightly easier for getting it into the ATI. It doesn't matter which side it is, but yeah, so let's start to put the coils in the ATI. So we'll take one off, and now then we have our tab. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on this one to make sure we can get a good uppy close in. Let's focus for us. There we go, that should do it. Okay, So what we're going to do then is we're going to, let me just press focus on there. Okay, there we go. So then what we're going to do is we are going to insert it from the left post here. I'm using, this is a 4-post RDA, as you can see, and I'm going from the left post to this one. So from here, here to here. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the longer leg in the left, the shorter leg in the right one, like so, and I'm going to push it snug up tight. There we go. Push it nice and snug, nice and tight up to the atty. Push it over a little bit and start to centre it. Oh, we're going off camera. Push it over a bit and centre it. And then we're just going to take a screwdriver whilst I'm holding it there and screw it down good and tight. Now when you're screwing down the screws on the atty, don't screw down too hard, because you can actually put the screw straight through the Kanthal wire and it will snip. So that's what we've got so far. It's kind of central, but it's too close to that those posts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the coiling rod to just push it over and pull it out a bit, so it's still nice and centered and it's up, and that's what we're looking for. So if I can get it to focus in on the coil, there we go. So it's nice and centered there in the middle of the deck here, but also it's away from the post here, and there is a gap above the airflow. In fact, I'm just going to lift it a little bit more just to get it off the airflow a tad. There we go. There we go, look, that's better. So that's the beauty of Kanthal, you really can manipulate it as you wish. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double check that the screws are nice and tight on there. Then we're going to get in there with these wire cutters, as I mentioned. Let me zoom back out now. We're going to get in there with the wire cutters and cut the wires. So there, as I mentioned, my wire cutters are a bit dead. Ugh. There we go. It is tricky really trying to do everything through the viewfinder of the camera, and clip that one there. So you want to clip them as tight and as flush as you can to the posts. You can see there I've clipped them flush. I probably could get in closer, but I'm not going to worry too much. But as long as you've not got a long leg sticking out, that's absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the process on the other side, and then we'll get back up here and show you how to wick it. Okay then, so what I've done is I've gone away and installed, if I zoom out I might be able to focus, I've gone away and installed the second coil into the RDA. So as you can see they're approximately the same distance from the post, they're both nice and straight, they're both roughly in the middle, but we can really tie that up in a moment. So this is where the ceramic tip tweezers come into play. So if I flick it up, it's going to tell me the resistance. At the moment it's going to vary between 1.4, 16.18 around there. The resistance will go up. You see how it sort of changes when the coils move and stuff. It will flick up and down, that's expected. So if I put it down into fire mode, we go ahead and fire them. Get a bit of smoke first, then you'll see, oh dear, one of them's firing much sooner than the other. We've got hot legs, we've got all sorts going on. What we need to do here, what we're aiming for, is to get both coils firing evenly, both from the centre out at exactly the same time. The way to do this is to take your ceramic tip tweezers and just give them a little pinch. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Squeeze them in nice and tight, get those wraps nice and tight together. And then what I do, I don't know how it works or why it works, but it does, is just strum across the top of the coil with either a jeweler's screwdriver or your tweezers. And then if we fire them again, you see they're already firing much better. There's still some hot spots in there. So we're going to go ahead and pinch, pinch, pinch. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Give it a strum and then pulse. There we go, they are firing much better. I think we can still get them even closer than that. So give them a pinch. And then really pulse. Yeah, there we go, firing nice and evenly from the inside out. So I'm just going to finish off tidying this up off camera, get them absolutely perfect, and then we'll show you how to wick them. Okay then, so I've got them firing really neatly now, firing together nice and evenly, no hot spots, burning from the inside out. It is a bit slow ramping up because my battery is dying in here, so I can change that, no problem, but for now that's fine. Just give them a blow to cool them down. So we're going to wick it now then. As I mentioned, I like to... Oh, zoomed in? Yeah. So as I mentioned, I like to use cotton bacon from Wicking Vape. You can see in there it comes in these sort of strands, and you just tear off the thickness that you want. Now, this is just something that comes with practice, deciding how much cotton you need to tear off for the damage of the coils. This comes with literally just doing it over and over and getting to know your coils. I know this is roughly the thickness. That might be a bit thick actually. I'm going to tear a bit off. So this is the thickness then. I'm going to rip that in half, so we have two halves. Obviously it's dual coil, so we want one for each side. Just zoom in. Okay then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one end and just twist it up like so, and just twist it at one end so it's twisted like that, and I'm going to feed it through the coil, grab it at the other end and pull it through. Now it should be tension when you're pulling it through, should be nice and tight, but not so tight that you can't pull it through, but it shouldn't just slide through easily. There needs to be some tension to make sure that it's nice and tight up there against those wicks, against those cores rather, for efficient wicking. So it looks like we got the thickness of the cotton just right. And the other side, twist them up, pass it through. Remember tweezers. Sometimes it can be a bit tricky to grab them. There we go. Pull it through. Again, there's tension there, but it's not impossible to pull through. So you have these long tails now. What I do, you can use scissors for this, or you can go ahead and use wire clippers like I do. What I'm going to do is clip them down, the tails. Again, this is all about experimenting to know with your coil builds how long you need the tails on them. This is all different for different RDAs, different types of cotton, how you like to wick, etc, etc. But this is just how I like to do it. So what I've done then is I've cut them all down. You can see there's a bit frayed up bits coming off here, but that's absolutely fine. They will disappear when we juice them. So some people juice at this point. I personally don't. So what I like to do is, you can use the normal tweezers here, but I like to use these tweezers. These elbow tweezers are really fine tipped, and they're really good for, you can see the tip on there's really fine. They're really good for tucking these tails in. So what we're going to do is we're going to tuck the tails down into the hole in the deck, like so. Just form a little bow shape, like so. And same on this side. Now this is just standard type of wicking. This is just how I wick. I don't do anything special with my wicking. You know, there's lots of different ways to wick. There's the special wicking for nano dragon coils and the Scottish roll technique and all sorts. This is just a quick, simple build for your first one to get you started. But by all means, that definitely doesn't mean it is not an effective build. I use this day in, day out. When I just want to chuck something in quick and get going, I haven't got time to necessarily do all these fancy smancy builds. I just do this and they work an absolute treat. So what I've done is I've tucked them in like so, and they are all nice and tucked in. Like I say, there are some bits like around here fraying out, but they will disappear in a second when we get some juice on them. So, juice. Yep, I'm not going to talk about too much. I talk about it in every video, but we're on the Boss Reserve from AD Vaping Valley Mist E-Liquid. So what I'm going to do is give it a shake. Move these out of the way. I'm going to give it a shake, and I'm going to just simply paint it onto the coils, a little bit at a time. Get these wicks all nice and wet, all on the sides, the bottoms, all over. You don't want to absolutely flood it, but just get them nice and wet like that. Okay? Same on this side, and you'll see in a second what I mean about all the frayed up bits soon disappearing. So there we go. Like so. So there we go then. They're nice and wet now. All the frayed up bits are up here have all gone. I'm going to put it into fire mode. Just give it a little test fire. Again, the batteries are dying a bit. Oh, it smells so good. And then what I do is just juice it up a bit. Put the cap on. Put the top cap on, and voila, we have vapors. So there we go then. That is basically a build tutorial on a quick, easy, good as gold build. It can't fail you. This 22 gauge, 7 wraps on a 2.5mm bit. Good flavour, good vapour, and if you want something just quick and easy to get you out the door, this is the build for you. What we're going to do then is we're going to go out to FaceTime, have a little quick vape on it, show you how she performs, and yeah, finish up. Okay guys, there we go. That is my attempt at a coil building tutorial for you guys that want to start building. Like I said, I've been building for a while now. I've started getting into more advanced stuff, alien coils, Claptons, etc. But this is still a daily vape for me. Quick and easy, and it does the job. It really does. So yeah, as I mentioned, I'm going to just have a little vape on her, show you how she performs, and finish up. So, got it, as I mentioned, in the Mutation X V4 Mini on my Renegade box series box. Let's see how she does. So as you can see, ton of vapour, and it's thick, warm vapour as well. It's not hot, but it's nice and warm. Love it. The first few, you'll realise that the first few draws or toots that you take when you first build it, you might get a bit of a cottony taste. Just take 2 or 3 deep hits off it, rejuice it, fire it off a bit, and after sort of 3 or 4 hits, that cotton taste will disappear and juice will really start to saturate into those coils. What I tend to do is when I put a fresh build in, if I've got the time to and I'm not rushing out anywhere, I tend to sort of test fire it, prime the coils, and just sort of leave it 5-10 minutes, and then it will fully saturate. So let's just have another one. So, oh man, such a good vape. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video anyway, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope it's helped. If you have any questions, please comment in the comment section down below. And to keep updated on all my latest videos, which is usually at least once a week, please click that subscribe button, like, give me a thumbs up, share, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. But until then, as always, keep on vaping.